Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We go back to April 27th, 1952, an episode of the Hollywood-Star-Playhouse, as it was originally broadcast on that date, April 27th, 1952. Alan Young stars as a postman in an episode entitled Nor Gloom of Night.
This is Alan Young with a welcome to Hollywood-Star-Playhouse, brought to you by the Bakers of America.
Hollywood Star Playhouse. 30 minutes of mystery, thrills, drama by Hollywood's finest writers, featuring Hollywood's top stars. Brought to you by the Bakers of America through the cooperation of your baker.
Well, I guess maybe it's partly my fault that this thing happened. You see, trouble with me is I've got too much imagination. That is, for a postman. Most generally, people think it's a pretty dull job carrying a sack of spring sale ads, wish you were here cards, and Reader's Digest down West Side Avenue, twice on weekdays and once on Saturday mornings. But to me, it's more than that. Like the time when I delivered my Christmas loads during a hurricane.
You can't go out there, Ernie. As postmaster of Greenbrier, Indiana, I forbid it. You'll be blown to pieces.
Haven't got any choice, Mr. Henderson. You know what they say? Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds. That's what they say. The people on my route are expecting these packages, and I'm going to deliver them, no matter what. Now, of course, that story may not be exactly true. It's Mr. Henderson who's always quoting about neither snow nor rain. And it wasn't quite a hurricane. Ain't never been one in Indiana. But it was an unusually strong wind for that time of year. Well, as you can see, I sort of like to exaggerate things. It never did a bit of harm. At least, it never did before. Now, I'm not sure. It all started a week ago last Wednesday. I had a normal afternoon load of mail, and I'd reached Miss Whitcomb's place down near the end of my route, right on schedule.
Good afternoon, Ernie. I'll take those.
Regulations say mail's supposed to be put in the mailbox, Miss Whitcomb.
Ernie.
Here you are. 3 letters and an ad for Sullivan's sale on 2-piece bathing suits.
It's better.
Well?
Oh, my sister in Biloxi.
Hmm?
That's in Mississippi, Ernie.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, hear about the fire at the Rialto Theater last night? Practically destroyed the whole building.
My son's getting married next July. Suppose that means another wedding present.
Probably won't be able to show any movies for 2-3 months. It'll just about mean building a whole new theater.
There wasn't any fire, Ernie.
Sure there was. Why,
Mrs. Arthur told me somebody dropped a match in the wastebasket in the gentleman's lounge. They had it out before the fire department even got there.
Oh. Well, it could have been mighty serious, couldn't it?
What's this?
Guess I better get a move on. I'll be behind schedule. See you tomorrow morning, Miss Whitcomb.
Just a minute, Ernie.
Yes.
Are you under the impression that Mr. C.W. Whitney lives at this address?
Why, no, of course not. The Whitneys live in the next block.
Then why are you delivering their mail to me?
What? Oh, I must have made a mistake. The names look kind of alike, I guess. Whitney, Whitcomb. I'm glad you caught it before... You didn't open it, did you?
Certainly I opened it. You handed it to me.
Well, you should have looked at the address, Miss Whitcomb.
Don't try to blame me for your mistake, Ernie. I wonder why anyone in New York would be writing to Mr. Whitney. Be a friend. Funny way to begin a letter.
Now, you give that back, Miss Whitcomb. You mustn't read it.
Arrangements are satisfactory. We can conclude our business at 7:30 on Thursday night.
It's against the law to read other people's mail.
The property at the corner of 3rd and Parkway will be ideal.
It's a federal offense, that's what it is. If you don't stop reading it...
Oh, here, Ernie. That's all there was to it anyway.
I once heard of a fellow who got 15 years in prison for opening a letter. It wasn't his.
I'm sure you did.
Now, if I can get it sealed up again, Mr. Whitney might not notice.
I don't think it'll make any difference, Mr. Whitney, one way or the other.
Maybe. Well, if he doesn't look too close, it might get by. Still, it wasn't right of you to read it. It's like taking the law in your own hands.
You delivered it to me.
That was an accident. I ought to report you to Mr. Henderson.
Oh, honestly, the way you exaggerate, Ernie. You'd think I'd done something terrible.
Well, you have. You've made me 3 minutes late. That's what you've done.
I'm hardly responsible for the inefficiency of government employees. It's enough that I pay your salaries.
Well, when I got to the Whitney's house, I walked up onto the porch as quiet as I could, hoping I'd be able to slip the letter into the box without Mrs. Whitney or anybody seeing me. Wouldn't you know that was the one day I'd have trouble getting the box to open? Something must have hit against it, because one corner was bent tight.
Having trouble, Ernie?
Huh? Oh, Mr. Whitney. What are you doing home today?
Just a touch of laryngitis. Thought I'd give my voice a little rest.
Sorry to hear that. Here's a letter for you.
Thanks.
Well, so long. Anything wrong, Mr. Whitney?
What do you mean?
About the letter.
Why, no. Of course not. It's nothing but an advertisement.
Somehow it didn't strike me funny when he said it. Almost anything nowadays can be turned into an ad. Besides, I had other things to think about. I was busy trying to make up for lost time. And I finished up the afternoon right on the dot. Well, maybe I was a minute late, but not more. And that's the truth, so help me. Anyhow, next day was Thursday, beginning of the month, so you could see what that means. This month's bills, last month's bills, and for some of the folks on my route, they have to go back even further. And to top it off, the Phillips Airedale nipped the back pocket out of my brand new uniform. Don't know how he does it, but the dog can always tell when I'm wearing one of my good outfits. Well, by Friday morning, I'd forgotten all about Mr. Whitney's letter, and I was having breakfast in the diner across from the post office. I'd been reading the paper for maybe 3-4 minutes. The article was on the second page.
Here's your eggs, Ernie.
Thanks, Alice. Hit and run victim, Miss C.W. Whitney. Miss C.W. Whitney was killed yesterday evening about 7:30 p.m. by a hit-and-run gray coupe while she and her husband were crossing 3rd Street at the corner of Parkway Avenue. Due to the light rain... 3rd and Parkway.
You know, that vacant lot near the school.
Alice, has Chief Gordon been in yet?
Well, of course not, Ernie. He never has breakfast before 9. And you know...
When he comes in, you tell him I want to see him as soon as I finish my morning delivery.
All right, Ernie. But, hey, aren't you going to finish your eggs?
Yeah, they sure do a fine job on electric trains these days. Never saw one as real as this.
Look, you gotta listen to me, Mr. Gordon. You're the chief of police. You're the only one...
Watch out, Ernie. It's going to jump the track. No, sir, she made it. How do you like that for a sharp turn?
Won't you switch that off for a minute, please?
Well, tomorrow's Freddie's birthday. I gotta test the train before I give it to him. May not get another chance.
Isn't a murder more important than birthday presents?
It would be if there'd been a murder. Now, you listen to me, Ernie. I talked to Mr. Whitney last night. He was all broken up about his wife's death.
He was just acting or something. I tell you, he had a letter about it, setting up the whole thing. He hired him to do it.
Accusing a man of something like that is pretty serious, Ernie.
Oh, I know.
Now, I know you got a way of building a thing up, and
You don't have to believe me, Chief Gordon. Ms. Whitcomb read the letter. Ask her about it.
Well, it isn't that I don't believe you exactly, Ernie. It's just that you jumped to such radical conclusions.
Ask Ms. Whitcomb what the letter said.
I might send somebody by later. Right now, the deputies are both trying to get a cat down from the telephone pole behind Cook's drugstore.
Couldn't you talk to her yourself?
Afraid that wouldn't do much good. Mrs. Whitcomb's got kind of a grudge against me. I judged against her watermelon pickles at the county fair 3 years ago. She ain't forgot it.
If somebody being killed is just a joke to you...
It's no joke to me, Ernie, but I'm not so sure about that imagination of yours.
Chief Gordon, I'm telling you the truth, so help me.
Well, all right. I guess it can't do any harm to talk to Mrs. Whitcomb. Now, help me put this track away first, and be careful you don't bend it.
Well, I never heard of such a thing, accusing me reading other people's mail. Don't you think I know it's against the law?
Nobody's accusing you of breaking the law, Mrs. Whitcomb. It's just that Ernie says...
Ernie says. Well, he threatened to make trouble for me, but I never thought he'd go this far.
This isn't about you, Miss Whitcomb. It's about Mr.
And
Whitney.
you, Chief Gordon, believing such an outrageous lie. Why, everybody knows you can't put any stock in a word Ernie says.
Mrs. Whitcomb, I'm afraid you don't understand.
There's nothing I want to understand. I did not read any letter addressed to Mr. Whitney. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Mrs. Whitcomb.
Then you'll have to excuse me. I'm putting up some pickles. Not that you know anything about pickles, Chief Gordon.
She did read it. She stood right here and opened it and read it.
Come on, Ernie.
But, Chief Gordon, I'm telling you, that letter...
Ernie, even if there was such a letter, what does it prove? All it says is Mr. Whitney's interested in some property at 3rd and Parkway, and there's a deal concerning it, and there's something about 7:30 on Thursday night. Mr. Whitney and his wife go down there, maybe to look it over again or something, maybe to conclude the deal. There's an accident. Mrs. Whitney is killed. Now, doesn't that make just as much sense as jumping to the idea that he took her there so somebody could murder her?
But why did he lie to me about the letter, then?
Some people like to keep their business private. Well, Ernie?
Okay, I guess it could have happened that way. Maybe it was true. Maybe Mr. Whitney and his wife were just out for a walk, but I just couldn't believe it. I wasn't sure why until the next morning when I walked up Mr. Whitney's steps with 5 or 6 sympathy cards addressed to him. It was just as he opened the door that I remembered something in that newspaper item. A man who stays home from work with laryngitis doesn't go out for an evening walk. Not when it's raining.
Good morning, Ernie.
Morning. I want to tell you how sorry I am about Miss Whitney.
Thank you, Ernie. I understand.
Here's your mail. I don't suppose you'll be buying that property now.
Property?
On 3rd and Parkway, where the accident happened.
What are you talking about?
Isn't that why you were there? Some kind of business deal?
What gave you that idea?
I don't know. I heard it somewhere, I suppose.
Why, as a matter of fact, I was thinking about buying on that corner, but I didn't know that anyone here knew about it. I was carrying on the negotiations by mail.
I guess you can't keep anything a secret in a small town like this.
I guess not. You, haven't been reading my mail, have you, Ernie?
No, of course not.
I didn't think you really had. You know, that can get you into a lot of trouble.
April 27th, 1952, the Hollywood-Star-Playhouse on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of the Hollywood-Star-Playhouse, nor Gloom of Night, April 27th, 1952.
By the end of the week, I'd made up my mind to forget all about Mr. Whitney and his wife's death. Maybe Chief Gordon was right. Maybe I had put 2 and 2 together and come up with 5. When you get in the habit of elaborating on things, you sometimes forget just what's the fact and what you sort of threw in for good measure. But after lunch, that was on Friday, something happened that proved I'd been right for sure. Yes, sir, I'd been right for dead sure.
West, southwest, west, north.
I was arranging my mail as the sorting clerk tossed it in the west side bin. It was a heavy load for an off-season. There was a lot of out-of-town stuff because the westbound trains have been held up by a tremendous hailstorm the day before. Matter of fact, I hardly noticed the letter at first. I just stuck it in the back of my pouch with the rest of the first class. And then I remembered. That spidery handwriting. That New York postmark. And the same square envelope.
Ernie, you must be out of your mind. This post office is not going to open a letter just because you happen to think it's important.
But it's from the same man, Mr. Henderson. We can read it and find out who it is. Have him arrested.
For what?
For murdering Miss Whitney. This letter will prove it. He's probably trying to get more money for doing it, or maybe he's blackmailing Mr. Whitney. Or maybe...
This is utter nonsense, Ernie.
Or maybe Mr. Whitney's hired him to murder somebody else. Sure, that's what it is. Sure, don't you see, Mr. Henderson? That's why he's writing again. Don't you see?
No, I do not.
Somebody else is going to get murdered, Mr. Henderson. I'm positive.
Now, you listen to me, Ernie. This is a perfect example of the way your mind works. First, you come in and tell me you found a letter that looks like one you delivered before. The next thing I know, you're certain it's from the same man. Then you decide it's a blackmail note, and now you're yelling that it's a plan to murder somebody.
I'm not asking you to take my word for it, Mr. Henderson. Just unseal that envelope and read it. If I'm wrong, you can put it back together again.
Ernie, I knew your father. He was a fine man and an honest one. And I'm going to talk to you just as he would if he were still alive. Son, this overdeveloped imagination of yours, perhaps it doesn't do much harm as a rule.
I didn't imagine this letter, sir. It's right here in my hand.
But when your daydreams cause you to suggest tampering with the United States mail, they're dangerous. Downright subversive to the operation of this post office. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
Furthermore, in the future, please remember that your job is to deliver the mail. The post office department is not in the business of catching murderers. All right, Ernie. You may go. You're, let me see, 12 minutes late on your route already.
But, Mr. Henry...
There are plenty of applicants for the job of mail carrier, Ernie.
That afternoon, West Side Avenue seemed twice as long as it ever had before. And that letter in the first-class section of my bag felt like I weighed a couple of tons. In 5 minutes, I'd get to Mr. Whitney's house, and then it'd be too late. He'd just look at the envelope, stick it in his pocket, and slam the door, and there'd be nothing I could do to stop him. Anyhow, I glanced up and saw Miss Whitcomb peering out the window waiting for her mail. Then I got an idea. I pulled the square envelope out of my pouch and held it in my hand.
Well, Ernie, by the time you got here, I've been getting my drapes all unpleated, staring out the window.
I'm right on schedule, Miss Whitcomb.
Suppose you are. Don't see why. Just because I live out at the west end of town, I have to get my mail an hour later than anybody else. What are you waiting for, Ernie? Give it to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonder if there's anything from my aunt. Last I heard, she was getting better. Suppose that means she's going to die.
That square one's from out of town.
Oh, New York postmark. Well, suppose she might have had a son mail it for her. He works in the city. Well, good afternoon, Ernie.
Aren't you going to open it?
That's what one usually does with mail, Ernie, and I'm quite capable of reading my own letters without your help. Ernie! Ernie Evans, come back here.
Yes, Miss Whitcomb?
Just what do you think you're doing, young man?
Why,
This letter is for Mr. Whitney, and you know it.
You mean you opened it?
I did no such thing. You and that so-called police chief aren't going to trick me into reading somebody else's mail. Here's the letter, just exactly the way you gave it to me. Good day.
I put the square envelope in the back of my pouch and tried hard not to think about it as I kept walking on down the block. But as I stepped over the Jenkins kids' roller skates, I found myself wondering who was going to be killed this time. Then I remembered. Miss Whitney had a sister living over on the north side. Maybe she was the one. I'll bet that's it. As soon as I get off my route, I'll telephone her. I'll warn her to... I reached into my pouch for the next delivery. I pulled out 3 cards and a square envelope. I was at the Whitney house. Now I had to deliver the letter. I looked up, expecting Mr. Whitney to be waiting for me, but he wasn't there. All the shutters were closed tight, and welcome mat was gone from in front of the door. I didn't go directly to the mailbox. I don't know why exactly.
April 27th, 1952, the Hollywood-star-playhouse, Alan Young, in Nor Gloom of Night. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion follows these messages from your favorite radio station. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Alan Young, mostly known as a comedy actor, but here he's got a fairly serious role in this episode of the Hollywood-star-playhouse, April 27th, 1952, Nor Gloom of Night, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
I felt that I wanted to see Mr. Whitney face to face. Maybe I had the nerve to tell him that he couldn't get away with it. Not this time. Maybe I'd be able to say, I know what you're up to. Or maybe I'd be too scared to say anything. Then I saw the slip of pink paper stuck in the corner of the mailbox. Change of address form. C.W. Whitney. New address, general delivery, New York City. The envelope was still in my hand as I walked down toward the corner of 11th Street. I knew why Mr. Whitney left town. Now he'd have a perfect alibi for the second murder. Maybe the killing was already over. Maybe there was nothing I could do, or maybe it was only a matter of hours or minutes. I'd never know unless I opened the letter. I pushed through the gate of the corner house and, from force of habit, looked around for Tony the Airedale. He wasn't in sight. Ms. Phillips was down on her hands and knees, weeding her marigold plants.
Hello, Ernie. You're right on time. I always know when it's 4:30. You're never more than a minute off.
Yeah, I guess so. Here's your mail.
Thank you. It isn't very exciting. Oh, is that other letter for me?
No, it's not.
Well, you look tired, Ernie. Would you like a cup of hot tea? It won't take a minute.
No, thanks, Miss Phillips. I better be getting along. See you tomorrow.
All right, Ernie.
Down, Tony.
Oh,
down, get away.
Tony! You bad dog, get down. I've got his collar, Ernie. You better run. Tony, you're a wicked dog. Ernie never tried to hurt you.
I was almost to the corner when I stopped and caught my breath and shifted my pack around. Then I realized I didn't have the letter. It had been in my hand when Tony had charged at me. I must have dropped it. From across the Phillips fence, I could see it, a white square on the red brick wall. Tony and his mistress had disappeared, so I opened the gate and reached for it. Tony had come around the house and beat me to it. He set up a guard over the letter, and he was worrying the envelope with his teeth. Here, Tony. Give it to me. Nice dog. You don't want to eat that, Tony? Here, I'll just... Listen, Tony, I gotta have that letter. It's important. Give it to me, Tony. Give it to me. Tony, let go! The envelope had been chewed open, and the bottom half of the letter was in shreds. I stepped off the curb and started across 11th Street, trying to stuff the letter back in the envelope. And then I saw what it said. Honest, I couldn't help it. It said, "Dear friend, new arrangements are satisfactory. We can stay the appointed courier at 4:30. Corner of West Side and 11th. He's never late." You know, never thought I'd be grateful to the Phillips dog. But if he hadn't made me late, I'd have been in the middle of the street. The gray coupe would have hit me instead of that telephone pole. As it was, it snapped the pole in two and didn't stop till it was halfway into the Phillips living room. Well, maybe not quite that far. But it did hit the pole. You can see the big gash in it. And that's the truth. So help me.
Alan, we love you for that. You certainly chalked up a good one for our series. I hope you'll come back again real soon.
You won't ever ask me twice, Wendell. Particularly if I can always work with people like Virginia Gregg, Gene Tatum, Jeanette Nolan, Herb Vigran, Harley Bear, and Paul Frees. Thanks a lot, folks.
Thanks again, Alan. Alan Young will soon be seen in the RKO production Androcles and the Lion. Tonight's partially transcribed story was written for Mr. Young by Robert Libet and Frank Burt. The entire production is under the direction of Jack Johnstone. All characters and incidents were fictitious, and any similarity to actual characters or incidents is purely coincidental. This is Wendell Niles inviting you to be with us again next Sunday for the Bakers of America program, Hollywood-Star-Playhouse. Enjoy another half hour of fine entertainment brought to you direct from Hollywood by your baker. The baker who supplies your grocer, the baker who calls at your door, and the baker in your bake shop. All helping you serve better meals through bakery foods.
April 27th, 1952, the Hollywood Star Playhouse on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now, thanks to Ted at RadioMemories.com for another good episode of Lum and Abner. This episode goes back to April 27th, 1953, and it looks like the Pine Ridge Library is open in the Jot 'em Down store.
Granny's, Abner. I believe that's our ring.
Aye, dog is Lum. I believe you're right.
Now, see. Hello, Jot 'em Down store. This is Lum and Abner. But now let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge.
Hello, folks. This is Dick Huddleston. And I've just gotten back from an inspection of the public library Lum and Abner are putting in over at their Jot 'em Down store. The best way to describe it is that it's, well, it's got some books in it, so I guess it's a library. I see Grandpappy Spears going in the store, so let's go over and get his reaction. Well, come on in, Grandpap. Glad to see you.
Howdy. You here by yourself, Abner?
Yeah, old Lum's over getting advice from Miss Frederick on how to run the library.
Miss Frederick, huh?
Yep.
I thought that was him I seen a while ago heading over toward the schoolhouse. Had on his Sunday suit, didn't he?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's him.
He's getting big ideas in his head since he taken up being a librarian. Miss Frederick told him he was doing a good thing for Pine Ridge.
Good thing for Pine Ridge?
Yeah, by putting in this free public library. Didn't you know about that?
No, never heard a thing about it.
Yeah.
What's he want a pigeon-toed library for?
Well, mostly just to make a good impression on Miss Frederick, I think. She said that he was helping both the young'uns and the growed-up folks get educated and get book learning, all such as that.
Oh, sassafras. Sassafras. What does growed-up folks need education for?
Don't ask me, Grandpap. But you know how Lum is again he gets idly. Look at that sign he's got over there. Silence. No out loud talking in library and no scuffling.
No scuffling? What's he got that on there for?
Well, he says if a batch of them boys start coming in here to do their homework, you know, like Barrel Legs Crockett and Knucklehead Watts, and they're liable to get to wrestling and all that.
Well, I reckon every business has problems.
Oh, yeah. Lum says the only way to run a library is to have rules and see that everybody sticks to them.
Yeah, the way I look at... Oh, wait a minute. Where'd you get that long table there? What's that for?
Why, that's to sit around, read, and study stuff. Want to sit around it and try it out?
No, I don't want to sit around no pigeon-toed library or wait a minute, though. Wouldn't that be a good place to play checkers?
Huh?
Got plenty of elbow room there.
Hi, Doggy, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, this library's a better think than I ever allowed it was.
Get this rabbit-legged board out and let's get started.
Sure, I'll get it. Just sit right down there.
Yeah, this ain't a bad little old table. Where'd you get it?
Oh, out of the back room. Had feed stacked on it. Cleaned it up, painted it and all. Well, here we are. Which ones you want, the red ones or the black ones?
Oh, give me the red ones. They're unlucky for me. That'll give you a better chance, sort of even the game up.
Oh, Prattle, you better take the black ones.
Yeah, what you got that line drawn down the center of the floor there for? You and Lum ain't divided up the store again, have you?
No, Lum drawed that line. See, it just divides the library from the store. See, when you step over on this side of the line, why, you're in the library. You got to follow all the rules. Oh, that reminds me. We got to whisper now.
Whisper? What for?
On account of that sign. Silence. No out loud talking. Don't you recollect?
Oh, yeah. No scuffling either.
What'd you say?
Said no scuffling.
Oh, yeah. This is more than likely a good place to play checkers. Won't have so many fights.
No. Takes the fun out of it, though. Go ahead. You move first.
I already moved.
Whereabouts?
Right there.
Well, now, wait. You can't move there.
I can, too. You done it the last time we played.
I never done no such a thing.
You did done it. I've seen you.
You never seen me. You're a low-down cheater.
I am not. I seen you make that very same move.
You're an ornery, low-down snake in the weeds, and I ain't going to let you get away with it.
Shh, Grandpap. The sign. Don't forget the sign.
Yeah. Abner, you're a low-down, cheating snake in the weeds.
I am not. You're just a stubborn old goat and won't admit what you done.
Would you care to step over that line so as I can tell you what I really think of you?
Doggies, I'll be glad to step over that line. And what's more, I'll walk you right up.
For goodness sakes, what are you two whispering about?
Huh? Oh, didn't hear you come in, Lum.
Yeah, I can see that. Now get that checkerboard out of the library. I never put that table in there for you fellers to play. Well, wait, Grandpap. I don't mean you have to get out of the store.
Let him go.
I wouldn't stay in here and play checkers with that cheating partner of yours if he was the last man on earth.
Yeah. Look at him stomping out. Thinks he's so smart.
One to goodness, Abner. I don't see why you and Grandpap can't get along together.
You know what he done. He claimed that I couldn't move the
I don't care what he claimed. We've got way important stuff than that to worry about.
Oh, Billy Goat.
There's way on more to running the library than I ever allowed there was. We got to get library cards and do some bookkeeping.
Bookkeeping? How are we going to lend out the books if we keep them ourselves?
I mean, keeping track of which books is out and which ones is in and which ones is overdue and which ones is underdue and all that.
Well, that don't sound so hard. Them that's in is in. Them that's out's out.
Hell, there's more to it than that, though. But Miss Frederick said she'd show us how to set up a system to do all that. And Granny, she's going to be a big help to me, or to us.
We going to have her hanging around here all the time?
Of course not. Look here, I want to show you a picture she give me. A picture of the New York Library. Ain't that a humdinger of a library?
I suppose she wants you to build one like that now, huh?
No, of course not. Eventual, that's the kind of a library building I want, though. Granny's, that is a crackerjack. Just look at that big stone front there, and them big windows, and them two lions out there beside the entrance.
Lions? Here, let me see that, Lum. Let me take a look.
You know, that's actual what we ought to have, a pair of them lions.
What in the world for?
Well, lots of libraries have got 'em, I think. I believe the one at Little Rock's got a pair of 'em out in front. It's sort of how you tell it's a library, you know. Just like when you see a barber pole outside, you know there's a barber shop inside.
We gonna run a barber shop, too?
No, I was just telling you why they have lines out in front.
In front of a barber shop?
Oh, for pity's sake.
Why, Lum, that'll scare all the customers away. Or it would me, I know.
They're not in front of the barber shop. They're in front of the libraries. You always see 'em there.
Well, you may be right, but it's hard to believe. I doubt if they can do it.
Doubt if who can do what?
If the lines can read.
Can read? I never said they could read.
Well, what are they always hanging around libraries for, then?
They don't hang around. They're just set out there by somebody. What kind of lines do you think I'm talking about, anyway?
Well, I don't know the different kinds, but I doubt if they'd stay there very long.
Oh, they'd stay there, unless somebody steals them. Might be a good idea to chain them so that nobody would steal them.
That's a good idea. Chain them up. That way they couldn't get loose and bite folks trying to get in the library.
Bite folks? For goodness sakes, Abner, I ain't talking about that kind of line.
Lum, I don't know what other kinds they is. Now, don't try to tell me no difference. They all bite. Got great big mouths, great big teeth. They're known as the king of the jungles. And Lum,
I know what lions are, but the kind I'm talking about are made out of...
Wait a minute. Was that our ring?
I don't know. You answered and drive somebody else crazy for a while.
Huh? Wait a minute. Where are you going, Lum?
Just out. Get the phone.
I am. I'll get it. Hello. Jot 'em down, Store Abner Peabody doing the talking. Huh? Yes, he is, but he's just going out.
Is that for me?
I don't know where he's going. Out to hunt for lions, maybe.
I am not. Who is it?
Oh, he's got some crazy idea about getting a couple of lions to tie up out in front of the library.
Abner, who is that?
Yeah. Huh? Oh, I see. Well, Lum had the idea they were supposed to be real live lions.
I did not. Who is that?
Yeah, well, that's a good one on old Lum. Yeah. Well, I tried to talk him out of it, but, well, you know, Lum, just to be honest, he's sort of country about something.
Abner, give me that phone.
Yes, Mom.
That blame it, Abner. Either hang up or hush up.
Yes, Mom. How's that? Oh, I see. All right, fine, I'll tell him. Yes, Mom.
Mom? That ain't Miss Fredericks, is it?
Yes, Mom. All right, Miss Frederick.
Granny's, you hung up and then still talk.
Well, lift the receiver. Hello, Miss Frederick? I'm sorry. I hung up before I said goodbye. Yeah, goodbye.
Granny, she'll think you're crazy.
What about you wanting a pair of real live lions out there in front?
Abner, you little varmint.
That's a good joke on you. Lum, you was mixed up about them lions.
I was mixed up.
Them was supposed to be statute lions, just made out of iron or something.
I knowed that.
Weren't supposed to be live ones at all, like you thought.
Like I thought? That was your idea.
Why, Lum Eddard's, it weren't no such a thing. You bring that picture right in here and showed it to me and said that's what you wanted to get for our library was a couple of lions.
Oh, me, why'd I ever let you get near that telephone? Why, oh, why? Every time you use it, you get me in a batch of trouble.
Well, I don't know what you're so upset about. I tried my best to make excuses for you, Lum, patch things up.
Yeah, I heard you, telling her how country I was.
Yeah, well, cheer up. I got good news for you, Lum. She's got a book checking out system ready for you. Want you to come over there and look it over.
Granny, I'm ashamed to face her now after the way you made a perfect idiot out of me on the phone.
Oh, I did not, Lum. None of us is perfect.
Oh, me.
Well, you better hurry. She's waiting for you.
I can't go over there now. You've made me a laughingstock. That's what you did. You've made a laughingstock out of it.
I never did no such a
Granny,
thing.
Abner, I ought to whop you right on top of the head.
Lum, now stay back. Lum, now don't you look at me like that. Lum, put down that axe handle. Lum, now don't.
35 years I've been...
Wait a minute, Lum. Look where I am. I'm across the line.
Across the line?
Shh. I'm in the library. No out loud talking and no scuffling. Them's your own rules.
Yeah, that's right, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
All right, Abner. Step back over the line. Come on now.
I ain't gonna do it. Gonna stay right here.
All right. Now I'll get a chair and sit right here. You've got to cross the line sooner or later.
Well, now, Lum.
Stay there as long as you like. I don't care. I can stay here longer than you can. I got groceries on this side, and you ain't. I'll starve you out. That's what I'll do. I'll starve you out.
Having fun trying to figure out how to get out of the store. That's going to be ugly, don't you know? From April 27th, 1953, Lum and Abner here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Hey, thanks for making us a part of your day. Oh, I got to remind, thank you, of course, but I want to thank Ted at RadioMemories.com. RadioMemories.com. He supplies us these shows, and he supplies lots of other shows. And unlike a lot of the old shows, the ones that he has available are are reduced noise. And he does lots of restoration, so the shows probably sound better to you now over this station than they did back in the old days. So check them out, RadioMemories.com. Shows on cassette, CD, or flash drive. Alrighty, thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Visit my webpage if you don't mind, classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. We also have lists of various applications and websites where you can download our shows, get them by a podcast. You can also find our social media links, and if you'd like to help us out, you can buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee money does not buy me coffee. I don't drink coffee. But this helps us acquire additional classic radio collections and also helps us maintain our distribution channels. That's at classicradio.stream. Thanks for tuning in. Thank this station. Support their advertisers. Tell your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station.